Hey guys, it's me, Dan Panani. Take these headphones off. And in this video, I want to try to see if I can help everyone learn, or mostly learn all. At least be able to understand how to do it. So, I want to teach you guys all how to learn your multiplication facts from 1 to 12. Because the only reason I'm doing this is because a lot of people I know, and I'm in 6th grade now, and there's a lot of people I know in my class and just in my school that still don't know how to do basic multiplication. Like, I asked them 3 times 5 and they'd take a few seconds. Few. When I say few, I don't mean 1 or 2, because 2 is a couple, 1 is just 1. So I don't think there's an actual word that defines it. Few is like 3 to maybe 8 or 9, possibly 10. Sorry, I'm back. I had a bit of difficulty. But, because a lot of people I still don't know, and when I say a few, there's a lot of people that still don't know it. And there's, like, I know at least, like, 10 to 20 people. I don't really talk to them, but I still know that they do not know at least, like, basic multiplication, okay? So, I'm here to help you. This isn't how I exactly memorized it. I went by repetition, which is a great way of learning if you are the kind of person who, if you keep hearing it be repeated over and over again, and you learn, that's a great way of learning. That's how I learned it. Like flashcards. Like, for example, you just have a piece of paper, you write a fact on it, and the answer on the other, and maybe have a friend help you, or you could do it on your own. You show yourself the fact, or the equation. 3 times 5, let's just say, like I said. You'd say, oh, okay, think of what that is. And you keep trying until you get it. You go, okay, 3 times 5. Maybe you say 14. You check the back and it says 15. Because that's the actual answer. And you say, okay, well, I'll try again. You keep trying, not till you just get it once, but until you fully master it. So if someone asks you, hey, person, what's 3 times 5? You say 15 right off the bat. And at some point, if you keep doing that with all the facts, someone asks you 6 times 9, 54, right off the bat. So you can always do it like that. But there's another way with all your other facts. Now I'm going to start going from 1 to 12. So a lot of them I'm just going to tell you to have to memorize and use repetition or practice on your own. But there are some that there are some tricks for. I think it's called the Divisibility Rule. I could be wrong. I don't remember the word or the term. But basically, what you do is, for example, if you're doing, I don't know, 8 times 7. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see that well. Bring that a little closer, maybe. Is that better? Okay, maybe that's better here. Let me just. Okay, so maybe you get there and it says 8 times 7. You may be able to see that. There might be glare. 8 times 7, okay? Now, what you could do is you say, well, I don't really know my 7s, but I'm pretty good with but I'm not so great with my 8s either, maybe. Or maybe you are great with your 8s. Who knows? I don't know. So, you say, okay, can I divide 8 in half? You say, okay, well, 8 divided by 2. Use a better symbol for that. 8 divided by 2. You say, okay, well, that's 4. 8 divided by 2 is 4. You don't need to know your multiplication to get this one. So you say, okay, well, let's do this. 4, okay, I can't write a 4 very well from this angle. Okay, so 4 times 7. Okay, well, I know what that is because that's a smaller number. That equals 28. Okay, so you already know it equals 28. Sorry, it's very sloppy. So you say, okay, well, I know 4 is half of 8. So I can do this. Since I know it's half of 8, I can add this again. Because 4 plus 4 is 8. So 28 plus 28 will give me the answer to 8 times 7. So what you do is you take, okay, well, I have 28 now. You then say, okay, 28 plus 28 or times 2. 2 doesn't really matter. still adding it by itself, and you'd get 56. Okay? So that's one way you could do it. That's an example. But I'm going to start with one. Sorry. I'm going to start with 1. All your 1 facts from 1... Oop, that's a 2. All your facts from 1 to 12 that have a 1 in it, for example, 1 times 11, okay? The answer is always just going to be the number, like the next term or next number in the problem. 1 times 11, well, 1 times 11 is 11, because it's always the number that is like after 1 or the other number in the equation. That's what the answer is going to be. So even if it's just 1 times 1, which I know they should always get, and they do, hopefully. 1 times 1, it's not, well, they're both 1s, so which one do I pick? Just doesn't matter, you pick 1, okay? So 1s, we already have that cleared, okay? Now 2s, you just add the number. So 2 times 6, okay? Just add 6 to itself. Okay, so 6 plus 6 equals 12. 2 times 6 is that. So then if you do it with 12, for example, 2 times 12. 2 times 12, okay? That's some people would say that's not too big of a number, which it isn't. Should be easy. You just remember this, okay? Follow each number like it's a number on its own. What's 2 times 1, maybe? That's another way you could do it. What's 2 times 1? Okay, well, I know that's 2. 2 times 2. Well, I know that's 4. That looks like a 9. But then you have your answer. 2, 4, 24. So that's another way you can do it as an example. Now, 3s, those I'd say to practice. It's not really the best way to do it, but I'd say practice. 3s, you can still do the same trick I just showed you. 3 times 8. Okay, I'm going to use a lot of numbers. So, 3 times 8. Okay? So what you could do is you could just use repeated addition, which is just another fancy way of saying multiplication, but more spread out. So you could do 3 times 8. That's how you could write it. Or you could do 8 plus 8 plus 8. Sorry, the 8s are crooked, but they're all 8s, okay? So all 8s. 8 plus 8 plus 8. Because now we're 3 8s. Okay, so that's another way. Now, I'm going to go straight to 9s, because those a lot of kids already know, thankfully. Or some kids know. So apparently it's a 9s trick that I didn't even really know of, but it's pretty helpful if you don't know them. So the 9s trick goes like this. Here, let me put down this board. Now, I believe, if I'm correct, it should work like this. If you have a number, for example, 9 times 1, you take 1 away from your hand, like you have 10 fingers here. 9 times 1, okay, count 9 on your fingers. 5 on this hand, 4 on this hand. So, you take 1 away, what's your answer? 9, okay, because you have 9 there. Now, if you're doing 9 times 2, okay, what you do is you count the second finger. Or, sorry, pretend I'm going from this side. This is going to be, let me sit in front of the camera a little better. Okay, so this is going to be my left hand. It's actually my right, but I'll count as my left. This is going to be my right hand here. Okay? So now, you're going to count 1, because it's 9 times 1. So, take away that first finger, and then count the rest of the fingers. 4 plus 5 equals 9, okay? Still taught you the 1s, it's still the other number next to the 1. Now, if we're doing 9 times 2, 1, 2. 1 and 8. 1 and 8 is 18, so that's another way of doing it. Third finger is 9 times 3. You have 2 fingers here, and then 7 over here. Next, we do fourth finger. Now, 3 fingers and a 6, because 9 times 4 equals 36. I almost said 6. Then you have 6 over here, on this side, over here where these fingers are. Then you have 3 over here. Now, if you do the fifth finger, I can't really put that finger down, so pretend my pinky's down, okay? So you have 4 fingers over here, and 5 over here. 9 times 5 equals 45. Sixth finger here. Like I said, I can't put my pinkies down. You have 5 fingers over here and 4 fingers over here, okay? That would equal 54, because 9 times 6 equals 54. Now, 7th finger goes down. You have 6 over here, 3 over here. 9 times 7 equals 63. 8th finger here. You have 7 fingers on this side, over here. And then you have 2 over here, 72. 9 times 8 is 72. The 9th finger, you have 8 fingers over here. And 1 over here. So 81. 9 times 9 is 81. Now a 10th finger is, basically just put that finger down and you have 9 again. So it works all up to 9, unless you want to count the 9 times 10. So that's a pretty cool trick. I don't really use it on my own because I don't use my fingers to count a lot unless I'm thinking of things. Now, this is a good one to move. Let's go to 4s, because 4s, like I'm going to say again with everything else, I'd rather just use repetition to remember. Basically, for 4s, what I'd do is I'd take just the number 4 and think of everything as a quarter, okay? Like I said, just repetition. If you could remember it, that'd be great. Like 4 times 5. 5s are easy. I cannot draw 5. I don't know why. Okay, so that's a 5. 4 times 5. Hope you can kind of see that. Now, you could use a 5. You could do the split trick. Well, I know my 2, so 2 times 5 is 10. Times that by 2, or add it again to itself, you get 20. So we could use that trick, like I said. That trick is very helpful if I, for some reason, just don't remember it. Got ink on my shirt. Anyway, now, first part, for 5s. 5s are not too difficult. You can remember the pattern. You can always use repeated addition if you like, or go by, I forget the term. My bad. Basically when you, I can't remember. Like, for example, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 26, or sorry, 28. My bad, not 26. 28, 32, 36, 40, 44, 48, 52, 56, 60, etc. All those different numbers that keep going on like that. Like, repeated, whatever, I don't know. I'm not talking about repeated addition. I don't know, it's gonna bug me all day. Anyway, but 5s are pretty simple. Just go off by 5s I'm not gonna remember that. Anyway, so 5 times 6, okay? If this number here is an even number, it makes life a lot easier. Like, if this number here, if that number that here, let me underline that a little better. If this number here, that has a little, like, zigzag, is an even number, okay? Then your time will be easy. Because you can reduce this by 2 and times that, and times the 5 by 2. And then you could have life a lot easier. Or you could just skip count. I think that may have been the way of doing it, but I still don't remember the term. So 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 20. Wait, no, sorry. What? I don't think I've had enough sleep today. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Because look, you did 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Could have just used tallies, but still. But if it's an odd number, like 9. Let's go with 9. Okay? 9, all you have to do is go to the closest number, like, that's even. For example, you could do 8, and then just add 5 when you're done. That's, oh, I could do that. Anyway, so, for example, let's go with 8, okay? So let's think of it as 5 times 8. I know you won't see this, but 5 times 8 there, okay? It looks like a plus sign, don't it? 5 times 8, which, as I said, you can skip count 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 25, 30, 35, 40. So you know that's 40, and since 9 is 1 more than 8, you just add 5 to 40. So 40 plus 5 is 45, and that's how you get your answer. Or you could just, like I said, just skip count the normal way. Or if you did the closest number, even number to 9 is 10, 5 times 10, that's pretty simple. Because all you gotta do is, that was a 5 and a 3. All you gotta do is take the number you have there and add a 0 to the end of it. So, for example, in this case, 5 times 10, all you gotta do is take 5 and put a 0 on the end of it. Not add 0, because I know I said that. But I don't mean to do, when I say add 0 to it, I don't mean 5 plus 0, because that would just be 5. What I mean is, to the right of the entire number, no matter what it is. No matter what it is, 1,554. If you're doing that times 10, go to the complete right of that number, just put a big old 0 there. And then you'll have your answer, times 10. Now, that's the way how it works with any sort of 0. If you have any number times any number with just, like, a 1 and a bunch of zeros, like 57 times 1,000, all you do is take those 3 zeros here and put it at the end of 57. So 57 would look like 1, 2, 3 zeros, which would mean you have 57,000. Okay, that's just a little trick I'd let you guys learn. Now, for 6s, like I said, repeated addition works very well, or memorization, like hearing it a bunch, repetition, all that works. Same in a 7, 8, I already told you about 9s, 10s I already told you about. 11 is just the number itself, but doubled. So, for example, 7 times 11, let's just say. You take 7 and you double it twice. So, just how there's 2 1s, take 7 and do that. So, 7 times 11 equals 77. Now, if you're going past the 10s and you're doing like 12 times 11, you take 12, okay, yeah, you take 12, you times it by 10. This is where I use the divisibility rule I'll talk about. Well, it's kind of the same thing as I said before, but you do it like this. Take away that 1 and think of it as a 0. So then what you do is you'd have 12 times 10, which equals 120, because you take 12 and all you do is add a 0 at the end of it, or put a 0 at the end of it, however you want to say it. And then you add, 10, if you take 10 away from 11, which is just 1, and anything times 1 is the number itself. So 12 times 1 equals 12, so add 12 to that. 120 plus 12 is 132. So that's how you get that answer for 11s. 12s, like I said, you just have to practice. And that's basically it. Now, I know that seemed like a lot. I just said a bunch of memorization. But there's a few ways you can remember it, like I said. It's repeated addition, or just count, like, go by, like, I still never gonna remember that term. Just keep repeating the number. So if you're going 7 times 5, add 7 5 times, or vice versa. Add 5 7 times. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. And that's your answer, 35. 5 times 7 is 35. Now, you could also use memorization. Use a card. Imagine this is the front of the card. You have, I don't know, 7 times fix that. That looks horrible. I'm not an artist. 7 times 3. And what you have to do is you have to say, oh, okay, let's think of what 7 times 3 is. Now you can say, okay, well, let's think. 20. I know it has to be somewhere in the 20s because I know 7 times 1 is 7. 7 times 2 is 14. But I don't know what that is. And the back of the card would look just like the answer, like this. You can use flashcards to do it, or online versions. There's apps you can get on your phone for the people who go on their phone a lot. There's an app on your phone that if you're ever on the John and you're just doing whatever and playing on your phone, how about you try practicing? Just, go on your phone. There's definitely a bunch of apps for it. It might look different than this. You might see it might be like a multiple choice answer. 5. I gotta fix my 5s when I write them. 5 times 9 equals. And it might say like A. 31. B. 16. Pick a more difficult answer. C. 14. Or D. 45. And the real answer would be D, obviously. But, C might trick someone because they're like, oh, 5 plus 4 maybe. 14. Or 31, I don't really know, that was just a random one. 16, a random one. But, there's other apps that are like that. So you can use those apps to your advantage. Use your phone to your advantage. I don't mean use a calculator because that's the cheating way out of getting it. And I'm gonna... You know what? Do I have enough? Should I? Yeah, let's do it. Why not? Okay. So, there's another thing that I do that helps me to get, I guess, smarter, if you want to say it like that. What I do to, get better, You know how they say that making a mistake isn't necessarily just a bad thing. It's a good thing because you learn. Well, I take that to my advantage as well. And what I do is if I'm saying, I don't know, this is a different kind of problem. This is the part where you can leave the video if you're just here for the multiplication. But this is the part where, for example, 6. Oh, I should hold the board. Okay. It was a little more difficult. Okay. If you're doing 6, this is going to be a parenthesis. Sorry if it doesn't look like a parenthesis. B plus, I don't know, 7. Let's just say I somehow got this wrong. I'm like, maybe it's, I don't know, what could I do? Maybe I say it's 13B, let's just say, because I don't follow order of operations. I do 6 times B. Actually, I don't do anything in order now. No, it would do something. Okay, but let's just say I don't follow the order, or I don't think there's a parenthesis there. I do 6 times B, which would be 6B, and then I do, okay, now 6B plus 7, 13B. Now, yeah, 13B. And that's where I get 13B. The real answer would be, you would first do, in the parentheses, B plus 7 is B7, or 7B, whatever you'd like to say it. And then you do 7B times 6, which would be 42B, and that would be the real answer. Now let's just say I did this, and then that would be my theory. Even before the teacher may assign the work, but you already know this is going to be your next work because maybe you follow a specific pattern, you may go on that page, not completely do all the work. You can still show your work so you could understand what you did wrong in your works and see how you can fix that. But you can go in there and just try it yourself. Make a theory. It's kind of what you do with all your work in class. What you do is you put an answer that you think is correct, and then you wait maybe till next class until he checks it or grades it, and then you see what you got wrong. Now, that's one way of doing it, okay? That's one way of what I do, at least. That's one way of how I can get better at things. I try them at first. And by the way, all this is done without a calculator. Because if you use a calculator, you're just going to rely on it too much. And that will dumb you down. Like, at some point, you're going to be, like, so reliant on that calculator. You're going to look at a thing and say, oh, God, 2 times 8, I guess. And you're gonna have to go put in the calculator. Doesn't look like a 2. I have hiccups. My bad. Okay, now it looks like a plus. Is that better? But you'll be like, oh God, I don't know if I could do that. Might be too difficult. You're gonna rely on it too much, and at some point, you're gonna have problem with any sort of multiplication. For if it's 1 times 8, who knows? So, what I say is don't use the calculator to do work unless you're doing like fractions, like fraction times a fraction, where it's like 1/6 times 35 hundredths. Or no, let's do 80ths because that's a little more difficult. Well, I guess I could do it in my head, but still, it's very difficult. That's another way of how you could do things. If you're doing like 6 times 80, like you can see here, that's how you do denominators. Or I mean, fractions. If you're multiplying fractions, you times the denominator by the other denominator, numerator times the other numerator. 1 times 35, because like I said, any number times 1 is the number that is being times by 1. And then you do 6 times 8, if you memorize it, that would be 48. And then since there's a 0, you put the 0 on the end, and it'd be 35 480ths, I guess. I don't really know how you say it. Okay? So, unless it's something like that or something else similar to being difficult, you can use it for your work if you don't know. But if you're just doing simple things like 6, if you're doing 6, oh my gosh, I can't put stuff down. If you're doing something like 6 times 8 plus 2, and you want to check it in a calculator, go ahead, do that after you've at least tried it. Not with a calculator, without a calculator. That'll help you get better. Because then you're not necessarily always relying on the calculator. But I don't mean being like, okay, 2 times 4 plus 8. And you're just going to say, okay, maybe it's 450. Because obviously that's not even close. But if you're not trying at all when you do it, then you're not going to improve. What you have to do is you have to try your best on how, like, on the question or the equation, whatever it may be. And then, after you have all your work down, so it's a clear-cut problem and work to show how you solved it, then, and you have an answer that's somewhat relative to your work, that's fine. You could then use a calculator to check if you're unsure or if you just want to check to get better. That's completely fine with me. That's how I would help someone learn. I'd say, don't rely on your calculator as much. Try it first and then check with the calculator, not vice versa. Okay? That's one way of how I learn. Now, another way how to remember things is do something odd while you do it. Or if you're trying to study for something, do something odd while you do it. Like maybe you've never had, I don't know, maybe there was a weird, like, protein powder that you had in your house. Like a little packet. Or if there's, kind of smoothie, or if there's a new game, no, not new game, because that distracts you. If there was, I don't know, a new song I don't know, I can't think of anything besides, like, drinks or something. But if you have something new like that, Do something new while you drink it. If you're practicing your math flashcards to practice addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, etc., any of those kind of things, drink something or eat something odd while doing it. Like have it at dinner, because then since it's weird, you're gonna automatically. This is how I usually sometimes do it, and it doesn't really work as well, but it still technically works for me a bit. You're gonna remember doing that odd thing, and then you're gonna also correlate that weird thing reminds you of whatever you were trying to study at that point. Okay? Now, another way of doing things is to make sure you listen in class. If someone's bothering you, like if they keep asking you, "What time is it?" If they're asking you questions like personal questions or anything that's not like, "Hey, what page is it?" or can I have a pencil? Can I have a piece of paper? All those kind of things. You're okay with that. If they're asking for a piece of paper or a pencil or what page or whatever it is that you're doing, that's fine because that has to work. But if they're asking you, are you a dog or a cat person? What'd you have for lunch today? Or how's your day been? Well, if they're asking you how's your day been in the beginning of class, or if they say have a good day, they're just trying to be nice. But if they ask you like while you're doing work and they see you're trying to focus, it's I understand they're trying to be nice, but you should still let them have their space. But just ignore them. Ignore them like they're a bully, but they're not a bully. They're not trying to be. Well, hopefully they're not trying to be rude. But just ignore them, okay? And then get your work done, and they'll see that their questions are not phasing you, and then they'll stop. And you continue your work, and make sure you listen. Now, a way of being attentive is laser focusing on what it is. Now, I don't really know how to laser focus, but what I do is if I'm trying to remember something or listen to something, I kind of like tune it out. You know how cameras, like if I shove this really close to you, like this, for example, it may focus on the thing possibly, if it's that kind of camera, or it may focus on something from this far away, who knows. But what I am saying is that try to laser focus on it. If you see the teacher move from point A to point B, you're going to see every single little movement he makes from there. Not in slow motion necessarily, but just the fact that he goes from here to here, and any sort of audio or dialogue that is important that he's been saying in that distance, you're going to have to try to remember that. Now, notes are a big thing. You can try using notes if you have a notepad out